Section 3.2, Simplifying Algebraic Expressions. This video will help you simplify algebraic expressions by combining like terms, simplify algebraic expressions with multiplication, and then kind of combining both of these together, combining like terms and multiplication, putting all that stuff together in Part C to simplify algebraic expressions. So to simplify an algebraic expression that contains addition and subtraction, we collect and combine like terms. Let's take a look at some definitions here so you understand what collect and combine like terms means. So to collect like terms, we use the commutative property of addition. And the commutative property of addition just says the order in which we add won't change the outcome. So we can move stuff around when it's an addition problem. So basically, we use this commutative property to group the like terms together. So we get the things that are kind of alike, and we group them together. Once we get them together, then we can talk about combining like terms. And to combine like terms, all we do is add their coefficients. Let's take a look at an example here, just so you understand what this means. So I have an algebraic expression here because we have both variables in here and some terms. And so what we're going to do is we're going to simplify this algebraic expression. Notice these h terms are like terms. Those things go together. Those are the same kinds of things. And then these s terms, they also go together. So because everything here is addition, what I'm going to do is I'm going to reorganize this expression to put the like things together. So I'm going to take this 4h and move it over here, basically. And when I do that, I'll get my h terms together, 3h and 4h together. And then I'll also put my s terms together, 2s and 1s. Now, once we get here, we can go ahead and add those like things together. If I start with 3 of these h's and add 4 more of these h's all together, I'll have 7 of those h's. Same things with the s's. 2s plus 1s gives us 3s. So this expression, which started out with 4 terms over here, can be simplified now to an expression that only has 2 terms by collecting and then combining the like terms. Let's take a look at some examples now that will help you understand how to collect and combine like terms. So we're asked to simplify here, and we're taking a look here at example 1. So in example 1, I have some like terms that need to be combined together here. So look, we have some x terms there, and then we also have some constant terms. And constant terms we've been adding for a long time, so we know we can add those together. Let's start with our x terms there. If I start with a positive 8x and I add 1 more x to it, that will give me 9x. Now if I start with a positive 10 and add a positive 3 to it, I'll end up with a positive or plus 3. So there, I've simplified the expression in number 1. All right, example 2. Let's see, it looks like we have some a terms here in common. Looks like 3 of them that can get combined. Now I'm just going to go through. This is a 1a. Anytime you see a variable just by itself, it's understood that there's a 1 of those things there. So this is 1a plus 3a. That's going to give me 4a. And I'm going to go ahead and write this out. You might be able to do that mentally when you take a look at this, but I'll do it one step at a time here as we get going. Now I'm going to combine this 4a and this negative 7a. Remember, whenever we talk about a term, we include the sign in front of it. So I'm going to go ahead and add these, but I'm going to add this minus 7a as a negative 7a. So this would be 4a plus negative 7a. That's going to give me negative 3a. And then I'm going to write down just this constant term. There was nothing I could combine with that negative 2. So there is my final simplified answer there. All right, example 3. Looks like I have some b terms to combine and some constant terms to combine. So if I start with a positive 3b and add negative 10b to it, that'll give me a negative 7b. The constant terms here, a negative 5 plus a negative 4 will give me a negative or minus 9. All right, example 4. Looks like we have some constant terms and, got to be careful here. In order for things to be like terms, they have to have both the matching variable parts. They have to have the same variable and the matching exponents. So these are not going to be, those are not going to be like terms. So I really only have these 2 constant terms as like terms. Typically what we try to do when we write an answer is we write it in descending order, meaning the highest power on the variable first and work our way down. So I would write this 9y squared. The next highest powered variable is this minus 3y. Now I'm going to go ahead and combine my like terms of negative 7 and a positive 2. That would give me a negative 5. Example 5. All right, looks like we have some x squared terms here that can get combined. So 8 of these plus 12 more would give us 20, and then 20 plus a negative 11 would give us a positive 9x squared when I combine those together. And it looks like then I also have some x terms here. A positive 5x and a negative 3x, that would give me a positive or plus 2x. Example 6. Let's see. So it looks like we got a yx squared and a yx squared that I could combine there. Sorry, xy squared and an xy squared that I could combine. So 8 of those plus 15 more of those would give me 23 of those xy squareds. And now I have an x squared y. Those are my other like terms here. Let's see. Negative 3 of those and negative 7 of those. That would give me altogether a negative 10 of those. Now notice these are not like terms. Even though they have the same x and y variables, those variables do not have the same powers. See, x is to the first power here, second power there, and vice versa for y. So that's the best we can do in terms of simplifying that. All right, now go ahead and pause your video player and answer these practice questions. When you're done, hit play to see how you did. Looks like we have some x terms in there and some y terms that can get combined. Let's see, positive 9x and positive 2x would give me a positive 11x. And then positive 11 and positive 3 would give me positive 14 of those y's. Question 8. You should have recognized here that we had 3 of the like terms in terms of those c's, those c terms. So let's see, positive 5 and negative 7 of those would give me negative 2. Then a negative 2 plus a negative 8 would give me negative 10 of those c's. And then I'm just going to bring this guy, positive 12, down. All right. 9. Let's see. Looks like we got some z terms to combine there. A positive 9z and a negative 13z would give me a negative 4z. And then looks like I have some constant terms there. A positive 11 and a negative 14 would give me a negative 3. 10. It looks like we have 2 z terms there that are like terms. So a negative 6 of these things and a positive 5 would give me a negative 1z, or you could have written just negative z there. That would have been fine too. And then I'm going to write the minus 3. And then notice this, I can't combine with anything, so that's going to be positive 2z squared. I can't combine it with this one because those don't have the same exponents. Now, I haven't written this in descending order. This is not wrong the way I have it written. But we typically, just so everybody writes their answer in the same format, we usually write this 2z squared minus 1z, or z, there, minus z would have been fine, and then minus 3 for our final simplified answer. All right, 11. Let's see. Looks like we have some cubed terms, x cubed, which is x to the third power there. So if I take positive 2 of those and negative 6 of those, that would give me negative 4x cubed. Now let's go to the next highest powered variable, which is my squareds. Looks like I have 2 of those. Positive 8 and a negative 7 would give me a plus 1x, or just x. I'll write it this way this time since I wrote the negative 1 last time. I'll write it with just x there. And all right, and then we just got this 1. Oh, sorry, that was plus x squared. That had a squared on it when I combine those together. Plus x squared, and then negative 13x. There's nothing to combine that with, so I'll just bring that along there. Okay, 12. Let's see. ab squared. There's 1ab squared there. Let's see. Nope, that's a squared b. ab squared. There's one right there. So negative 3 of these and negative 11 of those would give me negative 14 of those ab squareds. And then a squared b and a squared b, a positive 8 and a negative 9. That would give me negative 1 a squared b, or just negative a squared b. The associative and commutative properties of multiplication allow us to simplify algebraic expressions. Let's take a look. So the associative property of multiplication lets us regroup the factors. So notice here, if I have 4 times 9x in parentheses, I can reorganize this and take 4 times 9, which then gives us 36x. So Most people, when they look at this, most students can know to multiply the 4 times the 9, but it's actually the associative property that allows us to do that multiplication. But most people intuitively just come up with 4 times 9 is 36x. The commutative property of multiplication lets us reorder factors. So here, if I had 7 times x times 2, notice the x is kind of in between these two numbers that I could multiply together. Well, the commutative property allows us to move that factor without changing the value of anything, so that I can multiply the 2 times the 7 first to get 14x. The distributive property allows us to simplify a factor multiplied by a grouping. So the distributive property states that when a factor multiplies a grouping, it must multiply every term in the grouping. So for example here, this factor 5 is multiplying this grouping x plus 4. And we want to multiply 5 times everything in that grouping, and the way we do that is just kind of one at a time. So the first thing I'll do is I'll take 5 times the x, right there. Then the next thing I'll do is I'll take 5 times the next factor, or sorry, the next term in there, which is 5 times 4. So then I would say, okay, 5 times x is going to give me 5x, and then 5 times 4 is going to give me 20. That's how the distributive property works. Let's take a look at some examples now that will help you understand how to simplify an algebraic expression with multiplication. Okay? Example 13. We want to multiply 2 times 7y. Well, we can just simply, according to the associative property, just multiply the 2 and the 7 together here. So we'd say 2 times 7 is 14. And then the y, we're just bringing along for the y. Notice this 7 and y next to each other means we're multiplying, as does this, 14 times y. Well, we don't know what y is, so we just write that multiplication that way, 14y. Question 14, negative 12x times 4. Well, the commutative property allows us to take and multiply 4 times that negative 12 first. So 4 times negative 12 is going to give me negative 48. And then I want to still indicate that I'm multiplying by x, so I write negative 48x. Question 15. This factor 2 is multiplying everything in this grouping, so we need the distributive property to simplify this expression. So first thing I'll do is I'll take 2 times 7x. Well, 2 times 7x is going to give us 14x. Then I'll take 2 times positive 4, which will give us positive or plus 8. One thing to notice about the distributive property here, I started with 2 terms in the parentheses, and notice I end with 2 terms after I get done distributing. Question 16. I'm going to distribute the 5 here to simplify this. So 5 times 3y will give me 15y. And this is 5, and I'm going to think of this as a negative 2 that I need to multiply it by. So 5 times negative 2 is going to give me negative or minus 10 over here. Notice I'm interchanging the ideas of negative and minus. It's no coincidence that that sign is written the same way. They mean essentially the same thing, a negative sign or a minus sign. All right, question 17. Here I'm distributing a negative 7. So let's see, negative 7 times positive 6x would give me negative 42x, and then negative 7 times positive 3 would give me a negative or minus 21. 18, distributing a negative 4. Negative 4 times positive 3x will give me negative 12x. And now negative 4 times negative 7, notice that's a double negative, negative times a negative, that's going to give us a positive or plus 28. 19, distributing a negative 2. Negative 2 times negative 7x gives me a positive 14x. And then negative 2 times negative 11 will give me a positive 22. Go ahead now and pause your video player and answer these practice questions. When you're done, hit play to see how you did. All right, question 20. 9x times 10 would give us 90x. Negative 4 times 2y would give me negative 8y. Here I'm distributing a positive 8, so that will give me positive 24x plus 8. 23, I'm distributing a 7. So 7 times positive 3y will give me a positive 21y. Positive 7 times a negative 4 will give me a negative or minus 28. 24, distributing a negative 4 now. Negative 4 times positive 7x will give me a negative 28x. And then negative 4 times positive 5 will give me a negative or minus 20. 25, I'm distributing now a negative 2. Negative 2 times positive 5y will give me a negative 10y. And then negative 2 times negative 9 is going to give me a positive or plus 18. 26, distributing a negative 5. Negative 5 times negative 2x will give me a positive 10x. Negative 5 times negative 9 will give me a positive 45. Simplifying algebraic expressions. So now what we're going to do is we're going to combine both of these together. So when simplifying expressions that contain both multiplication and addition, or subtraction for that matter. So the first thing we want to do is we want to do multiplication or division and the distributive property. Remember, the distributive property is a form of multiplication. So we would do that first. And then second, we're going to go ahead and combine our like terms by adding them together. Let's take a look at some examples now that will help you understand how to do this. So let's see, example 27. I have some addition and some multiplication and subtraction in this expression. I want to do the multiplication first. So I'm going to multiply 2 times 7x, which is going to give me 14x. Then I'm just going to rewrite the rest of the problem down here. So that was 4x plus this minus 14. Once I'm done now with a multiplication that I can do, I'm going to go ahead and look to combine my like terms. And notice I have a 4x and a 14x. So I'd combine that together to get 18x, and then I bring down the minus 14. So there's my final simplified answer for that expression. Let's look at 28 now. All right, notice I have division here and addition. I'm going to do that division first. So 14y divided by 2 is going to give me 7y plus 10y. Now notice I have like terms here. 7y and 10y can be combined together to give me 17y. Okay, example 29. I have multiplication in 2 spots here. So I'm going to distribute the negative 5. It's going to give me negative 5x squared, and then minus 15 when I distribute the negative 5 to the 3. Plus then I have this multiplication. 2 times 3x is going to give me 6x. Now I'm looking to combine like terms. I don't have any like terms here, but I will write it in descending order. So negative 5x squared first, plus 6x next, and then minus 15 on the end. Question 30. Again, I have 2 multiplications. I need to distribute this 4 and distribute this negative 3. And we want to think of that as a negative 3 as we distribute. That's the best way to do it. Even though it's a minus sign out front, the best thing to do is to think about that as a negative 3 as we go through and multiply by it. All right, distributing the 4. 4 times 2z is 8z. 4 times negative 7 is negative 28. Now I'm going to distribute the negative 3. Negative 3 times positive 6z is going to give me negative 18z. Negative 3 times positive 5 is going to give me negative or minus 15. Now let's look to combine our like terms. I have some z terms here. A positive 8 and a negative 18 will give me negative 10z. And then I have some constant terms here. A negative 28 and a negative 15. Well, that's definitely going to give me more negatives here. Let's see. Negative 15 and negative 28, that'll be 3343. Negative or minus 43. All right, go ahead and pause your video player now and answer these practice questions. When you're done, hit play to see how you did. All right, let's take a look at 31. We have multiplication here in the center, so I want to go ahead and do that first. So that looks like a negative 2 times a positive 5x. So I'll write minus 3, and if I take negative 2 times positive 5x, that will give me a negative or minus 10x. Then I bring this down, minus 11x on the end. Now I'm looking to combine my like terms. So negative 10x and negative 11x, that's going to give me negative 21x. I'm going to write that first, and then I'm going to write this negative or minus 3 afterwards, just to get it in descending order. Okay. Question 32, looks like I'm going to want to do the division first here. So let's see, that would be 11x. 12x divided by negative 4, that would give me a negative or minus 3x, and then minus 10. So 11x minus 3x is going to give me 8x, and then I'm going to bring down the minus 10. So in 33, 2 multiplications here. 8 times 4x, which is going to give me 32x. And then I'm going to distribute the negative 3 here. Negative 3 times positive x is going to give me negative 3x. And then negative 3 times positive 4 will give me negative 12. Now I'll look to combine like terms. It looks like I have x terms that I could combine. Positive 32 and a negative 3. That would give me a positive 29x minus 12. Question 34. Two things to distribute here. The 2. So question 34. First, I'll distribute the 2 here. 2 times 3x will give me 6x. Then 2 times 5 will give me a positive or plus 10. Now I'm going to go through and distribute this negative 4. So negative 4 times positive 5x will be negative 20x. Negative 4 times negative 1 would give me a positive or plus 4. Let's look for some like terms. I have some x terms here, and then some constant terms to combine. Let's start with our x terms to write this in descending order. A positive 6x and a negative 20x will give me negative 14x. Then a positive 10 and a positive 4 will give me a positive 14.